For all the latest news in North Central Washington, go to ncwlife.com or find us on Facebook. Got a news tip? Email us at news@ncwlife.com or call 888-2020.
Hi, welcome to Life with Lisa Bradshaw. Today's show, I'm excited about a whole half hour with Blair McHaney. You know him as the owner of Gold's Gym. There are some changes happening at the gym, both Wenatchee and East Wenatchee locations, so we're here to talk about that and much more. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, so I heard, I wanted to get you in here. Most people, like I said, know you as the owner of Gold's Gym. You do a wealth of other things, but let's start with that.
Okay.
And you're getting a name change and a whole kind of lift, change, everything.
Yeah, well, we're going to be doing some remodeling. We're going through the rebranding right now. And it's more than just a name change. Right. So, I mean, we've worked extremely hard on shifting what our strategy is in the business. And a lot of people talk about that, but kind of what does that mean to a business? That means you're changing some key processes. You're investing in different types of resources to drive some sort of problem to solve for the customer. That's probably the best way to describe strategy, is what is the problem that you're solving for the customer.
So you're talking, so we'll give a little more information to our audience watching. So you've been at Gold's Gym franchise for how long now?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
And your agreement expired June 1st.
Yep.
And you decided that's the time you'd make this change. After 20 years, what made you make that change after renewing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it really wasn't abrupt. You know, it's sort of there's sort of a glide path into that decision.
You saw it coming.
Yeah. And actually probably would have done it 5 years ago, but I found myself in Palo Alto for 3 years, so I just wasn't here. And yeah, that's right. I wasn't here and able to kind of shepherd that process. So we knew at that time that we needed to move on because our strategy had shifted. Kind of the things that we were focusing on in the next 5 to 10 years were changing. I love Gold's Gym. I love my fellow franchisees. I think they have really good leadership at corporate now. It's just a different direction. And there was a point, you know, when we got the Gold's Gym name, you know, it was wind at our backs. It really was, and it helped us a lot. And then at some point it sort of becomes, you know, wind neutral, and then it becomes wind in your face a little bit. And I can tell you, I don't know when that happened.
Yeah.
I have a hunch.
Do you know what kind of brought that on? Where that shift? I mean, you probably can't pinpoint the day or the year even, but what things were happening that you were seeing that you wanted to start to change you wouldn't be able to do if you were still Gold's Gym?
And most franchise agreements in fitness have some real restrictions in them, like you can't be a partner or own any other brands inside the fitness industry. That's been an issue for us because you want to experiment and you want to do some other things. So that would be one thing. Another thing for us is not just, a couple of terms, you know, we'll say B2C, business to consumer. There's that business to consumer relationship of who are we now getting as a core customer, and how, as we're shifting our strategy, we need to shift our brand to really focus on the core customer that we believe we can solve the most problems for. So that's one thing. But there's also a B2B world out there, business to business, and that's a place where we are really focused, because the way healthcare is moving, you will have to exercise and eat better in order to probably have healthcare not cost you as much.
Right.
And there are a lot of employers that are self-insured, and that's a big, tough problem to solve. And so as we have focused on shifting the kind of technology we invest in, the kind of processes that we build, we felt like a name change helped to serve that B2B world as well. So it's kind of two tiers for us. But you can probably get the sense that it's been a very thoughtful process.
Right.
It's not like,
it's not like,
shoot, let's just get out and change our name.
At the end of May, you were thinking, hey, let's not just sign the paper.
Yeah,
right. And I know that about you. Everything you do is very thoughtful. So I guess the thing that I would think about when you're starting to make that change, the business-to-business part is probably different for you in Wenatchee than it would be, say, for someone who's in a bigger city, who can accommodate things differently? You know, this business-to-business component is...
No, it's absolutely true. There's something unique for us here in Wenatchee. Wenatchee's fairly isolated. If you're a major employer, about half your employees probably live in Wenatchee and about half live in East Wenatchee.
Right.
We constitute a network in this valley. We have 2 locations, and if you are contemplating a wellness program, you know, something for employees, the number one reason somebody selects a place is generally because of convenience, right? It has to be like on my way to work, or on my way back from work, or near my home. It has to fit into life somehow. And so we do have a nice advantage there in the B2B world.
Well, and you solved that problem by building the East Wenatchee gym. How long has that been there now?
2008.
2008, so for 9 years now?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize it'd been that long.
Man,
I know,
me either.
so almost a decade. But the thing that I find interesting about whether you live in Wenatchee or East Wenatchee, I think particularly if you live in Wenatchee, you don't like to cross the bridge. East Wenatchee seems like a long ways away.
Right.
Now, I lived in Houston, I've lived in other large cities, so to me crossing the bridge is no big deal.
Yeah.
So if there's a class I'd rather take at that gym in Wenatchee, it's okay. It doesn't really make a difference to me. But for some people it really does, and especially if you're talking about a lunch hour or, you know, stopping at the gym on your way home so you don't get home and then not go, you know, while you know, before you get home to the kids and all of those things. So you solved that problem, you know, what, 10 years into your experience here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that's funny, because one of the things we looked at that time was number of check-ins at the Wenatchee location that were East Wenatchee addresses. I mean, we did a fair amount of research behind this. And today, the number of check-ins at each gym, each month ends with the number of check-ins being within like 100 or 200 of each other. When I look back to pre-East Wenatchee Gold's Gym days, and we look at just the number of check-ins we had at just Wenatchee, we have more than doubled that number. So, in other words, the demand was there. We more than doubled the number. So, if in you know, January in Wenatchee we would get 20,000 check-ins, we're getting 20,000 in 2 locations now. Check-ins in the So.
And that was worth it, obviously.
Yep.
So we've talked a bit about the why, so let's now talk about what's going to happen going forward. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the new gym, the name, the changes that people can expect for members that are currently there, and for people who might want to join after the change is made. So we'll come back in just a moment. We're talking with Blair McHaney. He is the owner of Gold's Gym, 20 years in our valley here, and there are some changes happening that we're talking about today. We'll be back in just a moment.
Are you wanting high-speed internet but don't have access to PUD fiber? Try Sky-Fi high-speed wireless internet from LocalTel. Call 888-8888 today.
Hi, we're back. We're talking with Blair McHaney. He is the owner of Gold's Gym, both in Wenatchee and East Wenatchee locations. There are some changes happening. Their franchise agreement ended June 1st, and we're telling you what you can expect at the gym if you're a current member and what you can look forward to if you're deciding to join for the first time. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
So we talked in the first segment about why you decided to make the change. So let's talk about the change. So the new name.
Works, W-O-R-X.
Okay, and so it's just going to be 2 locally owned gyms. It's not associated with any franchise.
That's right.
That's not a just, but it's changed from that to, that's the big change.
Exactly, that's right.
So no longer Gold's Gym franchise. So what does that allow you, how do you get to maneuver that differently? What's an example?
Well, if we wanted to open up some sort of other fitness center under another name, we could do that. It frees up some marketing money and certainly franchise fee money that we can use for local advertising and marketing reinvestment into the clubs. And then it allows us to just take on our own brand and build out our own intellectual property, that we own the value of the intellectual property, as opposed to the franchisor owning the value of that intellectual property.
Well, knowing you the way that I do, and especially from a business side of things, I've known you about a decade, and so I'm guessing that some of your intellectual property is already in where you've been, and that's a little frustrating for a business person, I think. I feel that way personally.
That's right.
So now you can do that and know that those ideas, you own them, you develop them,
Yeah, hey, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
It sounds like a selfish way of talking about business, but when thoughts are part of your business, and that's what you get paid to do is implement those thoughts, put them in action.
Yeah, and one of the things franchise agreements do, I mean, this is not atypical of franchise agreements. I don't mean just in fitness. I mean, everywhere is, if you invent something, the franchisor owns it.
Yes.
And so that, the franchise agreements that we had didn't have that in there. But when that agreement was negotiated, I was president of the Franchisee Association, and that was an 11th hour, we're going to die on this hill, that can't be in there. Yeah. Well, it's back in the new franchise agreements, and so that was a major issue. That was a major issue
if you were to re-sign.
Yeah, a lot of the value in a business, depending on the type of business, a ton of the value in a business are unique processes.
Right.
And it's so funny that people only think of value in business as, your customer base and your resources.
What you're selling and what you're getting for that price.
And oftentimes it's whatever unique processes you have put in that add value for the customer. And we have had quite a bit of that. And we've actually gone out and taught our processes to a lot of other clubs that have implemented them and added value to their own clubs. So, which I like to do that.
So then what are some of the things inside the gym that will change? I mean, not just structurally, but what kind of change are you trying to change how people feel when they walk in the door? I mean, I feel pretty good when
no, that's exactly right.
I'll tell you what, your staff knows member numbers like I don't even know how they keep them straight. You can just walk in and smile.
It's pretty amazing, actually. Yeah, I'm always impressed by how well our staff. You walk in the door, and we don't have membership cards, and we don't have key tags that you want.
You have to interact with the person when you walk in the door.
Exactly. It was designed so that you have to interact. There might be some reasons that we use key tags in the future, and it has to do more with wellness programming and tight tracking and that.
Right.
But yeah, the idea is that they have to interact. So absolutely, we want to change the look and feel in the clubs. Eastmont doesn't really need a remodel. Wenatchee needs some remodeling and updating.
Been there longer.
Yep, been there a lot longer. And we opened that in 90. So we've been franchisee for 20 years, but we've been in business in the Valley as gyms for 33 years, going on 34 years.
Did you start in that building, or
no,
you were somewhere else?
We started in the basement of the Cascadian mini storage building.
Yeah.
Which I think is, I don't know if they store mattresses in there, if it's if you look down that alleyway, you can still see the stripes I painted on that in 1983. And then we went to above where Arlberg is.
Right.
And then from there to down on Worthen Street, and then the Eastmont location.
That the revamp or the creation of Pybus has got to help a little bit, I think.
Makes us look so smart.
It looks so intentional.
Way to go, dude.
Yeah,
it only took like 20 years for you to get smart. That Pybus is awesome, having Pybus across the...
It really is. I think it's changed the way... I think it's changed the Valley big time.
I think it's such a huge contribution to the Valley.
For sure.
Yeah.
So because people, they go to the farmers market, they can go over and work out. They can go. And this is a community. There's so many jokes about women who walk around in their activewear, and that's okay here and stuff like that. Men too.
Yeah.
So people can walk in and they can experience a different feel. Classes, will those change? People.
We are revamping some classes, but the schedules will remain like we have them. I think we have over 100 classes a week between the two locations. So there will be a new emphasis put on certain classes. We're looking at how to reinvent the cycling that we're doing. So there will be constant changes there. Like our leadership team uses terminology like, let's beta test something, let's experiment. It's not like go get a class and launch the whole thing. So we're constantly experimenting. And my team's gotten pretty good at that, experimenting. So we're always looking for something new to do. Always.
So are any of those classes associated with the Gold's Gym brand that you can't keep?
No.
Okay, so all of those you get to keep. So people who love Body Pump and people who love all of that, it'd still be part of it. So then what about, so when you think about new members, what do you think about these changes are going to bring new members that have kind of thought, the Gold's Gym stereotype. I don't think it's really true in your gyms, but certainly in probably larger cities. But that mentality that's a bunch of bodybuilders and people aren't that comfortable going in. I haven't really felt that at your gyms. But
I totally get that. I totally get that. And
it's an assumption.
And if you take people that have never had a health club membership anywhere before, they're going to feel that no matter they're going to feel like that just to get across the threshold of anywhere. Certainly maybe more with a Gold's Gym.
Right.
And so part of it is to make that threshold a little bit lower, make it easier for people to step over. Our industry as a whole has, I work with lots of club operators throughout the U.S., some in Brazil, some in UK. And I've seen a shift in the industry where, not a tectonic shift, but maybe a minor shift with some of the leading players. Many clubs in the fitness industry are just sales organizations. That's all they are. And their marketing might claim they have a different strategy than that or different beliefs than that. But if you go inspect what they measure, if you go inspect what they incent, if you go inspect position descriptions, if you inspect any of their tracking metrics, you say, it's a sales organization. That's all, it's a sales organization. And we've never been that, ever, since we opened in '83. We have been about, how do we learn something about the customer? How do we get results for the customer? In fact, the Gold's Gym Challenge started in Wenatchee, and now it is the biggest promotion Gold's Gym does anywhere, worldwide. We have not participated in that in the last few years. And you even
changed that, right?
We did. And it's this realization that, yes, we want to get people results, but results don't create habits. And habits can get results, but results don't create habits. They can, but you have to be very thoughtful about how you organize somebody's training, how you organize their exercise program. You need to understand what kind of other things are impacting their life, from do they have home support, do they have support at work? And that doesn't necessarily mean people are cheering you on. It might mean that somebody's not bringing donuts into the office every day, right?
So sabotaging things that happen.
So we've identified sort of 8 key elements where we want people to ramp up to get to the point of what we call an exercise practitioner, is what we refer to it as. Robbing a little bit from yoga, right? A yoga practitioner, somebody that's just part of their daily habits. And our job now is to take those people that already are exercise practitioners and give them a home, but really be very mindful of those people that are coming in and they're saying, I want to start an exercise program, or it might be the result, I want to lose 20 pounds. But success would be that they lose 20 pounds and a year from now they have a sustainable habit
that they'll keep doing.
To
keep that off.
Exactly.
And that's where the challenge didn't always succeed, because it was this burn, burn, burn.
Yeah, and when we saw too many people repeat that a few years in a row, my entire team, we all got together and said, this is not supporting what we want to support. And so, and you can kid yourself, right? Like every once in a while you get those people that do really well in it and that just sticks, and they all keep exercising. But is that because you did? I mean, did we do something thoughtfully to get them to that point where it was an exercise habit, or did we just get lucky by throwing stuff at the wall, right? So that. Yeah.
So then when you talk about, well, let's take a break. I want to come back and talk about the habits that you're talking about, those things that stick and those things that bring change, because you and I have had this conversation a few times about the gym bag. And I was leaving to come here today, and I was in a huge hurry, and I went back and got my gym bag and stuck my shoes in there and put it in the car. You know, I should have gone to the gym this morning before I have to do all this, because now I got to go to the gym, and then I'm going to have to do all this again.
Yeah, let's talk about
the whole makeup and hair, and it's tough. Like to work it into your day. And I'm not talking about just hair and makeup. I'm just talking about it would make more sense for me to have gotten up this morning and got it done and then come here. But I didn't, so I stuck my bag in the car. So we'll talk about that when we come back in just a moment with Blair.
Please join us weekly for the 12th District with yours truly, Carrie Condata. Check your channel guide for times or go to ncwlife.com for details.
Hi, we're back finishing up with Blair McHaney. He is here to talk about the change of Gold's Gym over to a gym called Works, W-O-R-X. And we're also talking about habits and people getting into the gym. So you are in an industry that people either really grab onto or they struggle with it nearly every single day throughout their day, right? Getting there, getting to the gym.
Yep.
So you talk about habits in that gym bag. Let's start there.
Okay. So, and by the way, works as a takeoff on workout prescription, and that's important in this conversation because research shows us that what you do in the first 12 weeks is critical, and how much how you learn to prepare. Routine is a huge part of creating a habit of any kind. So how we prescribe exercise in the first 12 weeks is a critical part of that. There's something that we call gym bag readiness. And let's take, for example, somebody who comes in, and let's say they normally get up at 7 a.m. and they decide that they're going to start exercising at 5 a.m. And by the way, I've said for 20 years, we've said if your entire strategy for getting in shape is to buy a gym membership, you have a bad strategy.
There's a lot that goes into that.
It's a good tactic, but it's just the tactic.
The beginning.
Yeah, you have to have a more strategic approach than that. So, so somebody comes in and they say, okay, I'm going to start working out at 5 a.m. Man, what time do you normally get up? I normally get up at 7. Okay, so you're going to change that much of your life, and you're going to get. I will contend that the most important thing that person can learn is how to pack a gym bag. And let's take the use case where somebody is going to work out at 5 a.m. and then go to work afterwards.
Right. Okay, so they're packing a different bag for that.
You got it. Okay. You have a checklist here, and you say, okay, in my gym bag, I have to have a shaving kit, I have to have a clean shirt, I've got to have whatever I'm going to wear to work, and if you wear a sport coat, you got to have that, and you got to have all that stuff ready. So gym bag readiness includes
whatever's your day.
Exactly. And then the next thing you do is you take what you're going to work out in at 5 a.m. and you make the decision the night before. Never try to decide your workout gear in the morning. Decide the night before and put it someplace where it's not going to disrupt the significant other in the morning when you get up.
Right.
Okay, so gym bag readiness was a checklist that says, here's the stuff I've got to have in my gym bag, and here's the stuff I've got to have to work out. Now, wake up at, whatever, 4:45, 4:30, 4:45.
See, already you lost me.
So
getting up that early.
Yeah. And then there's no decisions to make. You have, I'm going to put on this gear, I'm going to walk out the door, I'm going to grab my stuff, I'm going to get in the car. No decisions to make. And that's critical. That's critical to keep something moving, is that you have to have pre-decided.
Right.
All right. So in any habit, there's trigger, routine, reward.
Trigger, routine, reward. Okay.
So let's say instead of just making exercise a habit, let's say at the beginning, most people need to make gym bag readiness a habit. So let's take back to the use case of training in the morning. Trigger, you walk in the door at night. That's the trigger. Routine, get the dirty stuff out of the bag. You don't get to sit down yet. Take the dirty stuff out of the bag, put it someplace, get the stuff out for the next morning, decide what you're going to wear to work the next day, get it by the door, have everything ready. That's the routine. Reward, go play with the kids, have a glass of wine, watch whatever you want your reward to be.
Right.
And it's when you start to look at how people really form habits, then you start to find kind of these micro opportunities to get people into the habit. Minute you wake up in the morning, can't find your workout shoes, and I'm telling you, life becomes harder. So whenever somebody works out, you think ahead, like you were talking about earlier, right? You have to think ahead and it's not just the gym bag, it's everything that goes around the gym bag, is what we call gym bag readiness.
Well, and that mentality, because I work from home most of the time, and people think that means, my friends think I have so much time to go to the gym, and I think it's harder to not have a routine where I get up and leave the house at a certain time every day, and I can pick, am I going to the gym before work or lunchtime after work? I could go at 9, I could go at noon, I could go at 2, I could go at 6, I could go at 8. I agree
with you, yeah.
And that is way too many choices.
Yeah.
So I have to think about that as well. And I think that the hardest part is that gym bag, like you're saying, is making sure it's there. Because I've been at the gym, in the parking lot, on my phone, texting, sitting there. I once posted and I said, hey, anyone need to talk to me? I'm right here sitting outside the gym waiting to go in. And that's obviously not very often that happens. But my friends say the same thing. I've got the gym bag in the car. So then the next part is that the trigger and the reward.
Yes.
And going in and doing that and having that reward.
So they always know when to fix it, get the gym bag ready to go, so you're all set for that day.
So that's a start. I could talk to you for an hour.
I would love to.
But we're done. So the new gym is called Works, W-O-R-X, and people will start to see those changes over the course of weeks.
Yep, right now.
Right now. It's happening now. Right now. And if you're a member, I think it'll just enhance your experience. And
yes,
if you're
it will.
not a member, I think it'll shake off some of those assumptions about Gold's Gyms that you might have been staying away from.
Agreed.
So I wish you the best luck.
Thanks, Lisa.
Come back anytime.
Thank you. I'd love to.
Stay up to date with what's happening in North Central Washington. Go to the NCW Life Community Calendar at ncwlife.com.